Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. I'm Zena, Keita, joined by Dalton Johnson. And the Warriors just bested the Detroit Pistons 120-109. Impressive win by the Warriors on the second night of a back-to-back after a tough loss against the Cavaliers. Dalton, there was a lot to like about that game, that the Warriors definitely learned their lessons, I think, from the night before. What'd you like the most?
I like that Steph Curry is Steph Curry.
That's
and
easy.
I like that exactly what you just said as far as learning your lessons. The fact that the Warriors, everything that happened in the Cavs game got much better tonight in Detroit on a back-to-back like that with a veteran-laden team. So the fact that they were able to exert themselves early and often is really what stood out to me.
Well, let's talk first, the thing that you said. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. He does what he does. Let's talk number 30, number one. 34 points tonight. Season high, 7 threes. You tweeted about this. What's the crazy stat that he's got in the first 8 games?
He scored 30-plus points in 4 of his 8 games now. He's also made at least 4 3-pointers in every single game he's played so far. Again, it's ridiculous what we're watching. Just watch these highlights and you go, this is a Hall of Famer on display night in and night out at 35 years old.
It's insane. He has been absolutely remarkable for this team, and he makes it look easy. He makes it look easy. He is disrespecting defenders out there on the court. It's insane. 30-plus points in 4 of his 8 games. But what I'm curious about, and I'm sure many people are curious about, is this sustainable? You think about it, it's 8 games into the season, but can Curry keep backpack carrying the team to start the games every single game this season?
Until he shows me otherwise, I'm never going to bet against Steph Curry. So I'm going to say yes. Of course, you want as much help around Steph Curry as possible. But again, until Steph Curry shows me otherwise, why would I say no? He's 35 years old. He'd be 36, in March next year. But he proves it year after year after year. And again, the reason I want to say it's sustainable is because what he does behind the scenes. This is someone who puts in a full workout after games. This is someone who takes care of his body as best as anybody in the entire NBA. You look at the entire athlete landscape, any sport, there might be no better than Steph Curry as far as taking care of your body, getting better with age, getting stronger with age. This is not this wiry shooter from Davidson anymore. This is a tough, strong, overall basketball player. So yes, until Steph Curry shows me otherwise, I don't care if he's 35 or he's 85. I'm not betting against Steph Curry.
You sound like Commissioner Adam Silver when he talked to Monty Poole today at the announcement for the All-Star game. And Monty asked him about, how cool is it that, Steph Curry, this is his 15th season, he'll be able to play this game next year maybe, and then who knows what happens. Adam Silver even said, this man's going to be around for a very long time. He takes good care of his body. He's not concerned about his ability to play in this game and then play in many, many more after 2025. But let's keep it going because there's another older player on the team that's doing really well and doing really great things for the Warriors, and that is our good friend CP3. Chris Paul showed up tonight with a crazy stat line, 17 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Big deal for him to drop 2 threes in one game. 100% at the free throw line, 6 assists, of course, 0 turnovers, and 5 rebounds just to make it nice and pretty and helpful. We've been seeing I'm in awe of what Chris Paul has been able to do for this team. Not only being kind of that anchor in the second unit, but now unlocking and unleashing this portion of his game. This is a really scary thought for other defenders or other teams to see when Steph Curry gets on the floor or gets off the floor, Chris Paul could show up this way too.
We're going to talk about his assists, his turnovers, pretty much game in and game out because it's so remarkable and it's such an easy thing for Steve Kerr to turn to and go, hey, we need to slow down a little bit. We need someone to steady us. And that's Chris Paul in 4 games off the bench, 29 assists, no turnovers. It's phenomenal to even think about. It doesn't even seem real. But to get this kind of offense scoring from him is huge also. 17 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 2 of 3. Through the first few games, people were starting to go, okay, he's 39 years old, year 19. Where's the shot? Is this a concern? It was an outlier. Relax. He's not going to be the same CP3 from the past where he's
Yeah.
an average 20-plus points a game, but he doesn't need to. So if he can get to the 17 points, if it's 10 to 17, 12 to 17, that is such a plus for the Warriors. He came into the night shooting 31.8% from the field and 7.7% from three-point range. That was not sustainable. That wasn't going to happen for a full season.
Yeah.
This is more of what I expect out of Chris Paul, is efficiency, is 6 of 9 from the field, is 2 of 3 from three-point range. He doesn't need to take, 7, 8, 9 three-pointers in a game. He doesn't need to take 15 to 20 shots in a game. 9 shots, that's exactly what you want to see out of Chris Paul leading that second unit.
And you could tell that he felt it, that it was coming with him. Like, he knew that he was capable of making these shots. Every game that you saw him miss the three-pointers, you saw him talking to himself a little bit after the game or mentioning it in his post-presser saying, yeah, I probably should have shot that better or could have been doing, but I don't need to. I don't need to. And that's a crazy thing that he is on a team where he doesn't have to be the premier scorer and still be incredibly proficient and helpful to this roster. Well, let's see what Steph Curry, is at the podium right now. Let's see what he had to say about this win against the Pistons.
How much do you like the way you guys are closing games early in the season?
That's a positive on the back end of, you want to control momentum a little better in the meat of the game when you have a team on the ropes, especially on the road, not giving them any life. So you're happy about games that are kind of going to go either way in the fourth. The close games we've won tonight where I think it was either we're down 6, I think, at one point in the fourth, and then end up winning by 11. So it gives you a lot of confidence that you can always, win any type of game. But we're very nitpicky around the way that we feel like we can play for 48 minutes. So you want to correct the mistakes in the meat of the game that doesn't make it, come down to the wire every night.
It does kind of feel like it's the start of halves right now with that starting lineup. What do you think's kind of not clicking right now?
We're not getting as many stops as we want, which has kind of been our identity for a while. And when you don't get stops, again, we've played 6 games on the road. You can let momentum influence the game, and the other teams getting confidence, and guys that normally don't make shots start feeling a rhythm. And you saw the shots that they were making tonight. Guys off the bench, Killian Hayes had a night, and that can put you in a position where you're chasing a little bit. So we have to be a little bit better controlling the defensive end to start games to give ourselves momentum. We've talked about it, we know it, and I think we'll get there.
Steph, Dre's been back from injury for a couple games now. Do you like where he's at?
For sure. He's shooting the ball. He's moving well. Obviously, we played 2 back-to-backs. His first 2 games were back-to-back, and we talk about your ability to bring it every night, bring energy and effort. Like he's worked extremely hard to get himself there, considering what he went through in training camp or missing training camp. So absolutely, he's only going to continue to get stronger. And when he's flying around and stuff in the stat sheet like he did tonight, the way he's been shooting it, that always is a good sign of where he's at physically.
He's not lying about Draymond stuff in that stat sheet. 9 rebounds, 8 assists. That's been pretty consistent since Draymond has returned. But thinking about the bench, I want to get back to that point about CP3. He's kind of been shepherding that second unit, but they came in tonight after having a kind of non-existent presence in the Cavaliers game. They came in and showed up tonight, 49 points, outscored the bench again for the Detroit Pistons, 20 rebounds, which was huge. But what I love the most about the way that the bench showed up today, it was key steals, hustle plays. They really showed up and brought an energy that was missing from the first unit for this Warriors team.
3 steals from Moses Moody, and he's done that a handful of times this season now, and each one seems like it's more clutch. It's always a huge spot when Moses Moody shows up.
Yes.
Right? So he's not always going to have the biggest stat line ever, but he's always going to make an impact on the second unit, on a Warriors win. And that's pretty much what the bench has done this entire season so far. I mean, as you said, the bench outscored the Pistons 49-24. On the season now, the bench is outscoring their opponents plus 107. Look at this from Monty right here. Through 8 games, the Warriors 331 bench points, opponents 224. And that's just not a reality that the Warriors had last season, and which is something they really, really needed to and wanted to shore up this season with offseason additions. When you look at Dario Saric, another double-digit scoring night for him. You look at the addition of Gary Payton II, having a full, healthy Gary Payton II. We talk about Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody continuing to take their leaps. Every bench player, aside from the 2 rookies who played 29 seconds, scored tonight. So they all had their hand in the win, and it's just really, really nice to see. It's a real luxury for the Warriors to see the second unit come together right now, because this was the best starting 5 in basketball last year. But for the second unit to be what they've done this season, the cohesiveness has really stood out.
I love about the bench that you can affix them to any of the starters, and they have been able to make positive plus performances for the Warriors. I'm looking at the fact that you could throw Gary Payton out there with a Draymond Green and he can still be an impactful player. I mean, I loved him on Cade Cunningham tonight. I thought he really was bugging him after Cade Cunningham kind of getting to do what he wanted to do. But when you look at this with this bench unit and you think about who fits in best with the starters, is there anyone that comes to mind that you would like to throw in more if you were, Steve Kerr?
The luxury is that it's a handful of players, right? I mean, Jonathan Kuminga can come in if someone needs a rest, if they need a big spark, if Andrew Wiggins is having an off night. And we've said it about Gary Payton II time and time again. This guy might as well be named Elmer's. He is the glue for the Warriors. You can stick him in anything.
Really
He's the duct tape. He can get any kind of hole that the Warriors have going. He is Mr. Fix-It for the Warriors. Where, yes, he's so great as a spark off the bench, but what he does, he can do with any lineup. He can be your 6'2", get out in transition for a good dunk, as he did tonight in Detroit. He can guard a Cade Cunningham. He can also guard up and even take on someone like a Marvin Bagley or even an Isaiah Stewart, who is so much bigger and stronger than Gary, but Gary knows how to get low. He knows how to get under those guys. It's frustrating for bigger players to be guarded by GP2. So he's someone, whenever I see Gary Payton II, I just think throw him into whatever lineup you need. He's going to make good things happen.
Yeah. For me, it's between Gary Payton and Moses Moody. Those two, you really can throw them. I mean, they say, stay ready, Moses. That's a real name. And he said he's been called that for the last 2 to 3 years. We're going to talk about some other frustrations. You talked about frustrating other opponents, but some frustrations on the Warriors side, particularly Kuminga and Wiggins. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on Dubs Talk Live. Hello, YouTube fam. We're just so happy that the Warriors were able to win on a back-to-back. And trust me, 29.3% from 3, yeah, they're tired.
Oh, no, the fatigue was pretty clear earlier on. I mean, it's not with Steph. We already talked about what a great, conditioned athlete he is. And what he did in the first quarter was like, okay, again, really, 8 minutes, 16 points on the day that he's named Western Conference Player of the Week. So a great start from Steph Curry. But to get the young guys involved, to get those sparks that we talked about, Gary Payton II, Moses Moody with his 3 steals, that's the kind of contributions that you need on the second night of a back-to-back, is a Moses Moody bringing that hustle that he brought tonight.
Yeah. Now, Steph mentioned this in his presser, and I want to talk about this with you. They keep going to the wire with these teams.
Yeah.
And, the Pistons are young. I mean, they had their players, but not all of their players. They didn't have a Jaden Ivey. And you think about you don't even have a Jalen Duren.
They missed about 5 of their rotations.
They didn't have their team. And the Warriors are almost going to the wire with them, too. What is it going to take for them to finally be like, you know what, let's go out hard early so we can sit our starters late.
Yeah, I wish I had my Coach Kerr cap on for that one because I wish I had
think he needs it too.
Yeah, I
because
wish
he's
I had
like,
the answer.
What is happening?
It's just kind of looking for the benefits of these kind of games in the long run.
Yeah.
It's good to get these kind of tough wins out of the way now,
Yeah.
so you can learn from them as the season goes on. But yeah, it'd be nice to give you guys a rest. Take the foot off the gas and just breathe a little bit.
Yeah. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Warriors took down the Detroit Pistons 120-109, and one of the ways that they did that was by scoring in the paint. If you watched the Cleveland Cavaliers game, you saw that was a big point of trouble for the Warriors. They were absolutely pummeled inside the paint, but tonight they were the ones doing the pummeling, attacking, scoring, and getting buckets inside. I mean, this was disrespectful by Moses Moody against James Wiseman, ripping that rebound away and finishing inside. This is what the Warriors really needed, especially on a bad shooting night.
Whatever Steve Kerr said to them after that loss in Cleveland, the message was heard loud and clear because, again, in Cleveland against the Cavs, the Warriors only scored 24 points in the paint all game long. They had 24 points in the paint at halftime tonight against the Detroit Pistons. So that's such a change in mentality to attack, to get down, to get into the paint as they did, and also to take advantage of the fact that the Pistons were without their best big men. They did not have Jalen Duren. So you need to be able to go, okay, they're missing this guy who is a really, really exciting young big man. Let's take advantage of that. Let's see our opportunities and let's go. Let's get to the free throw line when we can. Let's get some easier buckets because we talked about that yesterday about making things a little too hard for yourself sometimes. So on the second night of back-to-back, to do that, to make the game easier for you, to slow the game, to exert your will, exactly what you want to see out of the Warriors and exactly what they did.
From a playing perspective, think about it. When you're sitting outside and spacing the floor, hopefully well, spacing the floor, and instead of having to drive and kick and pass the ball and do all these other things, you can stand there, pass the ball, cut and move not necessarily at your leisure, you want to cut hard, but that's a lot easier than trying to dribble against a defender, trying to figure out who's out and open if you can't get to the basket and finish out. I don't know why the Warriors wouldn't want to make it a lot easier on themselves to just get the ball movement going and end up with a wide open bucket inside.
Yeah, they're out rebounding the Pistons. It was the second chance points that really stood out. And it was from a handful of players. You know, it wasn't just the Kevon Looney's of the world. It wasn't just Draymond Green. It was a Chris Paul using his basketball IQ, being savvy like he is, getting that three-point play. It was even Klay Thompson taking the extra dribble to the side and having more of a mid-range jumper, which you want to see out of him time and time again. It was Moses Moody crashing the glass hard, as you brought up, on James Wiseman with that, snatching it and going straight back up to the hole. It was Gary Payton II being 6'2", but playing much bigger as he always does. So it was a handful of people contributing 2 points in the paint, 2 out-rebounding the Pistons, 2 of those second chance points. A great overall win by the Warriors with that.
And that's huge that effort was put out, because that is something that the Warriors have struggled with earlier on in the season, is just what their effort has been on the boards or on hustle plays and things of that sort. Again, we talked about it. The bench really showed up tonight with that. Now, someone that did not necessarily show up tonight and has been struggling to show up consistently is Andrew Wiggins. After a positive change in his game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Andrew Wiggins did not score a bucket in the first half, early in the first half. I mean, he was absolutely non-existent from an offensive perspective. He took shots, and I don't think they were bad shots, but he was open for them. It just kept breaking out or rimming out. I don't understand what it's going to take for his game to kind of shift into gear, because it does look like he's making the right moves. He's crashing the glass. He's doing what he needs to do to be involved in the game and be involved with the tempo of the game that usually helps your game. But yet he's missing baskets at the bucket. I mean, what is it going to take for him to kind of make that change and turn the corner?
I'm sure that Andrew Wiggins wishes he had the answer right now,
Sure.
of course. I mean, look, they needed Steph Curry to be scorching as he has been in that first quarter, 16 points in the first quarter, and you would love to see a little bit more of an even distribution in the first quarter and have Andrew Wiggins be part of that. If he can just get some rhythm going right away in the first quarter, in the first half. What I will say as a positive for Andrew Wiggins is the fact that the Warriors had 6 players grab 5 or more rebounds, which is great. Andrew Wiggins was one of those. He had 3 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds. He's really starting to, these past few games, be a lot more aggressive with the offensive rebounds.
Sure.
It's 3 straight games now where Wiggins has had 5 or more rebounds. And so you're starting to at least see the mentality, the mindset to get on the offensive glass. Because when you see that with Andrew Wiggins, everything else starts to really slow down for him, and you can see him attack offensively and get those easier buckets. So I will at least say that, yeah, the first half was tough. It was rough. Him and Jonathan Kuminga both being scoreless in the first half, something you do not want to see, especially in the second night of back-to-back, as we've talked about. But the rebound says a lot to me, because even if he's not getting all the rebounds, I want to see him getting there for the offensive glass, being part of, you know, fighting for rebounds, tipping out balls, things like that, to me is really going to slow down his offensive rhythm as well.
Yeah, you look at the fact that Wiggins did not play in the fourth quarter as well. So definitely some time to reflect on his game, to reflect on how he can get that tempo going earlier, as you mentioned. Another person that kind of takes a little bit of a while to get going, you know, just a little bit of a fire. Got to throw some ember in there, got to get it going, is Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga, same thing, came out early, 0 of 6 from the field. You saw him do some interesting things on defense as a result of him being frustrated from the offensive end. He was not being able to finish and get at people and attack people the way that he usually is in the paint, and also get the calls that he wanted. And so as a result, his game struggles in all aspects when he's not scoring the ball at will.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of time and time again that Jonathan Kuminga has had some really slow starts.
Yeah.
I'll say in Cleveland, he rebounded well as far as, I mean, he bounced back well from a slow start.
You got to watch that word.
Yeah, exactly, right? And had a really good second half. The thing with Kuminga tonight is the fact that, number one, only 1 rebound, which is concerning. You do not want to see that from Jonathan Kuminga. The positive, I will say, is that he did take 8 free throws and made 6. So those are kind of 2 different ways of being aggressive, where the rebounding wasn't there.
Yeah.
The free throw line, you do want to be able to see him take 8 free throws. That, again, can maybe help him get in his tempo, but the frustration fouls, the being out of control early, that's what you don't want to see from Jonathan Kuminga, because it's the mistakes that he's made in the past and the mistakes that the Warriors coaches hope that he's overcame at this point.
This is the second game now in a row that Kuminga has not scored in the first half, but only scored in the second. And he had 1 point in the third, which was one of those free throws, and then his 9 points in the fourth. I mean, you do want to see someone like him get going early, because he is such an offensive surge for them. But not only just from an offensive perspective, when he's doing well offensively, he's doing all of the little things too. He's getting on the glass. He's going after those hustle plays. He's trapping really hard. Like, he is really showing up in all of the little aspects too.
100%. Yes, I think offense leads to defense and vice versa for Jonathan Kuminga. So again, it's with Andrew Wiggins, with Jonathan Kuminga, you want to see them try to get that tempo early, get that rhythm early, and then they can feed off of that through the next 3 quarters, right? Because you can't have a too little, too late scenario with either one of those type of players.
Well, the next game that the Warriors have to face is not a situation where you want a little too late. So we'll talk about what the Warriors have to face when they go to Denver when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is Dubs Talk Live, baby. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Lots of CP3 love. Deserving. You know what? This is great. Shout out to all y'all talking about Guy Santos.
Yes.
As former G League sideline reporter for the Santa Cruz Warriors, I absolutely adore Guy Santos. I have such high praise for him and the work that he has done to get himself not only acclimated to the United States, which is work in itself. I've done it before as a little girl, but like doing that now as an adult, trying to adjust to not only a new culture, a new game, a new system, and then also the work that he did to grow. Like grow physically, because I don't know if you guys saw Guy Santos when he was first drafted at 55 back in 2022. He was not the size he is now. Guy's got huge.
He added 15 pounds of muscle at least last summer. He's up to 220 pounds. And he said that he came into the Summer League the previous year at around 200, 205. And you've seen the footwork. You've seen him take advantage of the size with his strength. In Summer League, even in the FIBA World Cup, he really exerted himself a lot better. So really hats off to Guy, because you talk about a developmental standpoint. The Warriors are really happy with him, and they're obviously rewarding him. As I reported today, with this 3-year contract, it'll most likely be official tomorrow, because that is the deadline where the Warriors have to have a 14th roster spot.
Yeah, I've absolutely adored getting to know Guy over the course of this, and he takes this, obviously, I mean, everyone in the NBA and at this level take it so seriously, but he has just been. Well, the Warriors have one night to rest, and then they go to another new city with the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday. This is a big-time matchup. When you think about who are the Western Conference powerhouses, Denver definitely lists or tops that list, if you want to say, outside of the Warriors, potentially, depending on who you're talking to. But a lot of people have thinking Denver is going to be the one coming out of the West, so this is going to be a big-time challenge for the Warriors. What are you expecting out of this matchup?
I think just looking at the road trip in general, if you can come out of that 4-game road trip 3-1 would be huge.
Yeah.
And we know that this was the marquee matchup, is Warriors-Nuggets. The Nuggets are the team that, whether you're the Warriors or anybody else, that's the team that you want to match yourself up against and say, hey, who are we? Because the buzzword for the Warriors has been connectivity, and that's who the Nuggets have been these past few seasons. Their continuity has been off the charts. They have such great chemistry on the floor. So this is who you want to see yourself against early this season. Hey, how do we match up against this team now compared to a month from now, compared to 2 months from now? So this is not going to be the Warriors' final product, but it's a great spot to set the bar and say, what are the adjustments that we need to make to get to their level? Because they are the defending champions. The Warriors are used to people, chasing after them.
Yeah.
Now everyone's chasing after the Nuggets this season. So this is the matchup that you want to see, is Warriors-Nuggets in Denver.
And you're right in the terms of who are we? I love the way you put that, because this team does need an identity check to make sure that they're as connected as they've been saying this whole time that they've been able to do in comparison to last year that they don't want to talk about. It is important to note that Jamal Murray will not be playing in this game. He did suffer an injury when he played against the Chicago Bulls. They're saying it's a hamstring strain. He won't be playing for 1 to 2 games. They'll see and evaluate him. But Jamal Murray will not be at point. Does that change anything for the Warriors?
Of course. I mean, that is a star. You want to see every team's best. I wish we would see Jamal Murray out there. For the Warriors, take advantage of that. Assert your will early, as they did tonight, with the physicality, with the bench. It needs to be a full, complete win for the Warriors to pull this off in Denver.
Well, Zena, Keita, Dalton, Johnson, appreciate you guys tuning in for Dubs Talk Live. Have a wonderful night. All righty then, in all caps, first thing I see, big game on Wednesday for sure.
You're not lying.
I think even Jamal Murray or not, huge, right, exactly.
Of course, yeah.
Jamal Murray or not, that team is stacked. And again, I love your point about that team is connected.
Very. My God.
And they've been a team that's just been through the trenches until they finally won their championship.
They've really grown together.
Correct.
I mean,
exactly. Who does that sound like? Particular team called the Warriors. So they know exactly what they're about to face up against, in terms of like seeing their old selves and that confidence and that calm factor. I am very curious about the matchup with Joker.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right? Of course. When you Kevon Looney's going to do Kevon Looney things. He's going to be the Loon, Iron Man Loon. But I want to see what Sharge does, because let's just be honest with ourselves. There are some defensive struggles with Sharge. He can be a little bit of a screen door. People get by him. There's either a foul or a made bucket against him inside, and that is a point to mention for the defensive aspect in the paint. So hopefully they'll find a way to get him outside. But again, Joker can shoot.
No, there's no stopping Nikola Jokic. I'll say
It's
that.
stopping what's around him.
And that's exactly what I was going
Yeah.
to say. It's this slowing down of Nikola Jokic because, yeah, he's a center who can score, can shoot from deep also, but he has 38 eyes on his head, it feels like at times, right? I mean, this is a 7-foot, 200-something pound Magic Johnson at times where you need to be able to let other people, let him score. That's fine. It's taking away the secondary, the tertiary scores. I was like, maybe I'll say it on YouTube, right?
Yes, Dalton!
So that is to watch for when they are in Denver. In their road trip, it's going to be tough to go to Denver, the Mile High City. It's hard, but take away those scorers around Nikola Jokic, and good things should happen for the Warriors.
That literally is the thing. Whenever you, I love that. Thank you so much. That was great. Whenever you have a very big time score that just seems unstoppable, right? And Jokic scores at will. So yes, seems unstoppable. It's all about tiring them out, making them work hard for whatever they get, but also making their options outside hard.
Yeah.
Right? Force Jokic to be the one to have to score. Get in those passing lanes. Make sure that his teammates are frustrated at the fact that they're not getting the ball because it's all the Jokic show. All right. We'll watch the Jokic show. It's better than the Denver Nuggets show, right?
Yeah.
So I love that assessment of that matchup. So very, 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 very exciting game for the Warriors to be able to measure how well are we doing this season? Because 6-2 could be clouds and smoke. Right? Yeah. That's what my old coach used to say. It's bad defense. If defense looked good, but it wasn't actually good defense, that's just smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors, right? So you want to go through and make sure that this winning pattern of the Warriors isn't just smoke and mirrors. It's actually legitimate connectivity and wins for the Warriors. So very, very excited to see what happens there. But any last words for tonight?
No, look, it's only the 9th game in the season, but this is one to watch. Simple as that. Keep your eyes tuned. Look for the Warriors to get those offensive boards right away, because, again, that to me shows the mentality, shows you're exerting your will. And then in Denver, it's always hard to do that for a full 4 quarters, especially the last game of a road trip. But the Warriors are going to come home soon after that for a nice long homestand in the road trip in Denver.
Yeah, that will be huge. All right, well, appreciate you all tuning in. YouTube fam, we love you. We love the family that you've created within the YouTube fam. We appreciate you guys joining us. Again, Zena, Keita, Dalton Johnson. Thank you for being our tertiary person in the conversation today. We're learning. We're doing things. Night, guys.